Hello, today's topic is interest. We're going to learn how we solve for interest using the mathematical formula. So we'll have R equals P times R times T. It doesn't matter if it's lowercase or uppercase, but I just tend to write it with an uppercase. All right, P is the principal, right? The principal will typically be described in word problems as money invested or money borrowed. Rate will always be as a percent, and time will always be used in years. Now, I see there's months here, and if we scroll down, there's also days. What we have to do is convert those units into units of years. And we'll go over one of those. Actually, our first problem that we're going to do here is one that we have to convert. So let's write that down. I always write down I equals P times R times T, just so I can have a bearing, a system that I use to keep me going in the right direction. All right, we're going to just plug and play at this point, right? So we have 2000, we plug in 2000. And you can use parentheses or the stars in between. I don't really care as long as you show your work. 9%. We never use percents in our equations. We always use decimals. So instead of 9%, we're going to use 0.09. And I'm using parentheses to show that we are multiplying. Now we move on to time. And you see here, time, we have 4 months. Well, 4 months is not a unit of years, so we have to make it a unit of years. To do that, we simply divide by the amount of years in a month. 12 years in a month, and we do 4 divided by 3, and we get 0.3 repeating. I'm sorry, 4 divided by 12 equals 0.3 repeating. Instead of using 0.3 repeating, we don't want to have to type 0.3333 in our calculators. We're just going to use the most simplified form of that fraction. So that fraction reduces down to 1/3. All right, so what we're going to do is multiply 2,000 times 0.09, and that gives me 180. Now, we have 180 multiplied by 1/3. Well, you know when you multiply by a fraction, you multiply the numerator times the numerator, and then you divide by the denominator. So there's a 1 under here, so 180 times 1 is 180. And 180 divided by 3 leaves us with 60. So do not panic if you have a repeating decimal. We're not going to use the repeating decimal. We're simply going to use the fraction that represents the repeating decimal. And when you use the fraction, most of the time it's going to give you something that you can work with. All right, now we have the principal, the rate, the time, the interest. There's one more section here, and that's amount repaid. To find the amount repaid, you have to add the interest and the principal. So for this one, we put it in, we put $2,000 in at a 9% interest rate for 4 months. We got $60 as our interest. Our total amount repaid is $2,060. All right, let's go on to another one. We'll move down here. We'll do this. And we'll move on to the next one where it says 4,500 as the principal. All right, we'll move down there, 4,500 as the principal. Okay, now what we're going to find here is the time. We don't know what the time is. We're still going to write down our same formula. I equals P times R times T. All right, and our principal would be 4,500 multiplied by our rate. Now our rate is tricky. That's a percent, that's a fraction. We have to do a little bit of work here. It's going to take 2 steps. Now we have to change that fraction into a decimal, so it's going to turn to 7.5%. But look, that's still a percent. Now we have to change that percent to what? A decimal. So we move it over twice, once, twice. We get 0.075. That's the number we're going to use. So now we have 0.075, and we do not know the time, so we're just going to leave T there. Right? And that equals, we do know the interest of 56.25. Now, all we have to do is multiply and divide. We're going to use our basic equation principles. So 4,500 times 0.075. And we get $337.50. That equals this answer. We still have to multiply that by t. When you multiply a number by a variable, they become one term. Now, we have 56.25. 56.25 equals 337.5. We have to separate these two. In order to do that, we'll divide by 337.5, and your answer is, let's do it, 56.25 divided by 337.5 equals, we get an ugly fraction, 1.16 repeating, ugly decimal, right? So now we simply have to turn that decimal into the fraction that best represents the repeating number. Right now we have 0.16 repeating. All right, we could use that, but that's a little ugly if we want to use that. So we're going to turn that into a fraction that best represents it, and it's going to be 1 over 6. All right, now we would say 1/6 of a year. Well, if we wanted to, we could turn that into months, and we could turn that into 2 months. So I would take either 1/6 or 2 months. Either one is good. All right, now let's move on to the last one we're going to do. And this one does not have the principle, right? But we're still just going to use our fundamentals of solving equations to find the missing variable. So now we have 10%. All percents must be changed to, you got it, decimals. So 10% is 0.1, right? And now for this one, I'm just going to show it a little bit different. I'm just going to use the stars, right? So I'll put a little star here between that number and that number. 0.1, all right. Our time is 9 months, but 9 months is not what we want to use. We want to use increments of years. So we'll do 9 divided by 12, which is 0.75. We will use 0.75. All right, now we don't know what the principal is, so we'll just leave that as P. And our interest is what? 1,500. So we're going to multiply and then divide. So 0.1 times 0.75, don't forget to put your points in, is 0.075p, which is equal to 1,500. Now you want to divide 1,500 by 0.075. And what do we get? We get 20,000. So right here, our answer, I'm sorry, our answer here is 20,000. And when we find that, we can add it up and see it's going to be 21,000. I will erase this work here. You guys can see that work anytime you want. Just rewind and see the work. So we'll have 21,500 for our total. All right, now here I want to review this one here. I started that one only because it leaves something out, right? It leaves out the percent, the rate, and it leaves out the interest. Well, you do have enough information to solve this problem because you have the amount paid and you have, you have the total amount and you have the initial amount. So to figure out the amount of interest, all you have to do is subtract. So I would do 16,500 minus 15,000. And I just get 1,500. Now, I went through a couple of these with you guys, so I know you would know what to do if we only had to solve for the rate. So we're just going to move on to the next one. All right, the next one is a word problem. In the word problems, the toughest thing is figuring out what number goes where. So I'm just going to write this down to give us a landmark. And let's read it and see what happens. The Chowdhury family bought a new washer and dryer for $3,000. It made a down payment of 500. If they paid it off over the next 18 months with 18.75% interest, calculate their monthly installments. This problem takes a couple of steps. First off, right, we have got to understand what the word number 3000 is, what this number 500 is. I know it's a down payment, but what exactly is that? 18 months. Okay, that's familiar. That looks like a time. 18%, that looks like rate. So those two are pretty easy. We can drop those in. We'll have 18 months here for time. But what do we have to do at 18 months? We want years and not months. Divided by 12. Good job. So that's going to be 1.5 years. We'll just drop that in there. And the rate is 18.75%. We'll just move that over. And we'll have to write four numbers down. 0.1875. Then we want our principal. Now, how do we find the principal? Well, we have to find the principal by taking this $3,000 and subtracting it with 500. A down payment represents the amount of money you pay towards the new washer and dryer. So you go in the store, you don't have enough money to pay for all of it, but you know what? You did save for a couple months. So you're going to put $500 up. That's going to be less money you have to pay back. And then you're going to pay the rest. So over here, we're going to do 3,000 minus 500, which gives us an even 2,500. And we're going to plug that in. This, what we're finding now, will be our interest. So we do 2,500 times 0.1875 multiplied by 1.5, and we get a good number of $703.125. That's something is odd about this amount of money. What's odd is it goes to the third digit spot. This is not a part of American money. This is less than a penny. This is 5/10 of a penny. So we have to round that up. We're going to round it up because 5 and above, you give it a shove. So this would turn to 703.13. Now that we're there, that what we just found was simply the amount of interest that they will have to pay. All right. So we need to calculate their monthly payments. That's what we're looking for. To calculate their monthly payments, we need to add the interest back to how much they have to pay back to the company. So we're going to do 2,500 plus 703.13. That's going to give you, let's put it in the calculator, make sure we don't make a mental error. 3.13, and you get 3,203.13. This is how much you're going to pay back. But you're going to pay, they want monthly installments. Well, how long are we paying it back? We're paying it back for 18 months. So to find the monthly installments, you actually have to take this number and divide it by 18. And when you divide that by 18, you see that your monthly payments turn out to be $177.95. Not bad. So you get a brand new washer and dryer, right, for life for $177.95 for 18 months, all right? Not a bad deal. All right, I hope you guys found this helpful. That's how you do, that's how you find interest. We manipulated that formula as much as we could. We went into a very difficult word problem. Remember, you have to understand exactly what they're asking for. On this one, they were asking for monthly installments. They gave us a principal, but they affected the principal by adding in this line here of it being a down payment. Multiple steps needed to finish this. Then, not only did they want to find the interest, they want to find the total amount here, but now they wanted it in 18 months. So then we had to divide by 18 months, and we got our answer here. Okay, so our therefore statement would be, therefore, the monthly installment is a beautiful dollar sign, $177.95. All right, you guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them on the bottom of the video, and I'll be sure to get back to you. All right, you guys. Have a great day.